Welcome to today's deep dive into a cinematic legend. If you've ever wondered how Planet of the Apes, 1968, became a groundbreaking phenomenon, you're in for a treat. We're about to explore the behind-the-scenes saga of Hollywood's most surprising blockbuster, from the early doubts to the unforgettable legacy. Let's jump right in. 1. Hollywood's initial skepticism. Before Planet of the Apes could revolutionize science fiction, it had to overcome an enormous hurdle. No one in Hollywood believed it could be done. In the mid-1960s, the idea of civilized apes speaking perfect English was considered wildly unmarketable. Studios balked at the prospect of producing a movie where talking primates dominated the screen. Most executives relegated the concept to low-budget, creature features rather than a major studio release. When producer Arthur P. Jacobs began pitching it, he was met with polite smiles and quick dismissals. Some even whispered that the idea belonged in a Saturday matinee monster flick rather than an ambitious sci-fi project with serious themes. Jacobs, however, saw something special in the source material. He believed that Pierre Boulle's novel had the potential to explore universal questions about power, prejudice, and humanity itself. He also recognized that viewers were hungry for new narratives. Despite the laughter and eye rolls, Jacobs refused to give up. He pounded on every door in Hollywood, armed with his unwavering conviction that audiences would embrace a film that mirrored mankind's own flaws through the lens of an ape society. Little did the skeptics know that they were about to witness one of the most iconic twists in cinematic history. 2. The makeup test that sealed the deal to turn doubters into believers. Producer Arthur P. Jacobs and director Franklin J. Schaffner knew they had to prove that ape makeup wouldn't look ridiculous. That was easier said than done in an era when advanced prosthetics were practically non-existent. Enter Richard Zanuck, then vice president of 20th Century Fox, who was open to fresh ideas but worried the film might flop if the apes looked silly. Jacobs proposed a crucial test. He'd hire makeup artists to transform A-list talents Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson into believable ape characters, an experiment that cost a hefty $5,000 at the time. The moment Zanuck saw Robinson's imposing features concealed behind carefully sculpted prosthetics, and Charlton Heston's rugged visage blending seamlessly into simian contours, his skepticism began to wane. The transformation was startling yet strangely credible, bridging the gap between man and ape in a way few had seen before. This test footage demonstrated that, with the right team, the film's biggest challenge could become its biggest triumph. Realizing that convincing makeup would be the linchpin to success, Zanuck greenlit a $5 million budget. That approval was more than just a financial nod, it was a signal that Hollywood was about to embark on a daring new frontier in science fiction. 3. Rod Serling's original vision. Before it became the film we recognize today, Planet of the Apes was initially shaped by the famed mind behind The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling. Renowned for his thought-provoking storytelling and twist endings, Serling was tasked with adapting the original French novel for the big screen. His early drafts imagined a hyper-advanced ape civilization teeming with skyscrapers, modern vehicles, and bustling urban landscapes. The apes would not only talk but also zip around in helicopters, flaunting their sophisticated society, a concept designed to shock audiences with a mirror image of modern human civilization. However, such grand ambitions required a level of special effects and on-location shooting that would have shattered the project's financial constraints. 20th Century Fox executives quickly realized they couldn't bankroll a sprawling futuristic city populated by hundreds of detailed ape characters. Budget overruns loomed, and the reality of 1960s film technology made Serling's majestic vision near impossible to realize convincingly. Although many of his overarching ideas were scaled back or discarded, Serling's penchant for commentary on social hierarchies and morality laid the groundwork. His legacy survives in the final film's cautionary tone and the gut-punch revelation at the end. Serling's fingerprints remain evident, even if his flying ape taxis did not make the cut. 4. Michael Wilson's political edge. Enter Michael Wilson, a talented screenwriter who had once been blacklisted during the 1950s for alleged communist ties. When the studio decided that Rod Serling's vision was too grandiose for their budget, they brought in Wilson to rework the script. Wilson had a knack for weaving in deeper themes, and he infused the story with biting political commentary. The trial scene, where Charlton Heston's character Taylor faces off against a tribunal of apes, is a prime example of Wilson's flair for allegory. Subtle jabs at authoritarian rule and the suppression of dissent echo Wilson's own personal struggles during the Red Scare era. But Wilson didn't just add gravitas, he also threaded moments of humor throughout the narrative, preventing the film from becoming a dreary sermon. His restructured plot provided more nuance to the characters, offering a richer emotional arc for Taylor and more intriguing dynamics among the ape hierarchy. By balancing social critique with engaging storytelling, Wilson helped ensure that the movie appealed to a broad audience. He embraced the surreal premise of an ape-dominated society while anchoring it in real-world power struggles. Although his name was sometimes overshadowed by the film's bigger personalities, Wilson's literary craftsmanship was pivotal in shaping Planet of the Apes into the layered classic we know today. 5. The massive makeup army. Once the script was refined, the filmmakers faced a colossal production challenge: how to transform hundreds of actors into chimps, gorillas, and orangutans, and do it every single day of shooting. The answer lay in assembling a veritable army of makeup artists, costume designers, and hairstylists, all under the guidance of visionary John Chambers. More than 100 skilled professionals descended upon the set, armed with latex prosthetics, spirit gum, and an ocean of hair pieces. On peak shooting days, they had to process up to 200 actors, turning ordinary humans into a menagerie of eerily expressive apes. The process was time-consuming and painstaking. Each actor sat for up to 6 hours while layers of prosthetics were carefully glued, sculpted, and blended. Maintaining uniformity was crucial. A slight misalignment of the nose or mouth could break the illusion, turning the ape makeup into something akin to a cheap Halloween mask. The logistics were so demanding that other Hollywood productions faced makeup shortages, as countless talented artists flocked to the Planet of the Apes set. Yet the result was nothing short of astonishing. When the cameras rolled, those costumed actors delivered performances so convincing that audiences were immediately immersed in a world where talking apes seemed both natural and terrifying. 6. Streamlining the makeup process. The crew quickly realized that spending 6 hours per actor in makeup was unsustainable for a high-pressure film schedule. John Chambers, a perfectionist driven by both artistry and efficiency, set about refining every step. He introduced a streamlined assembly line approach. One artist glued down the basic prosthetic, another blended edges, a third handled hair application, and so on. This division of labor not only reduced bottlenecks but also ensured each detail was handled by a specialized technician, maintaining quality while cutting down on wasted time. As the team gained experience, they discovered little tricks, like pre-sculpting facial molds for specific actors and adjusting color palettes to minimize blending. Chambers also collaborated with the costume department to seamlessly match fur textures between makeup pieces and body suits. By the end of filming, they had trimmed the transformation time to around 3 hours, still grueling, but significantly better than the initial 6. This improvement was nothing short of miraculous for a production brimming with background characters who all needed convincing ape appearances. Thanks to Chambers' leadership and the tireless work of his squad, the film maintained its tight shooting schedule. Their triumph became a case study in Hollywood for how relentless innovation and teamwork can conquer even the most daunting practical challenges. 7. John Chambers' unique background. John Chambers didn't come from a traditional Hollywood glamour path. Before he was crafting ape faces and pioneering alien prosthetics, he worked in a veterans hospital after World War II, creating prosthetic limbs and facial reconstructions for wounded soldiers. This somber background sharpened his eye for anatomical accuracy and taught him how to build pieces that were not just lifelike but comfortable for the wearer. His ability to empathize with patients who had lost features to injury led him to develop more humane, user-friendly solutions. Transitioning to the film industry, Chambers brought this medical precision to characters like Mr. Spock in Star Trek, fashioning iconic pointy ears that looked seamless under bright stage lights. When Planet of the Apes needed an expert to tackle the unprecedented task of full-face ape prosthetics, Chambers was the perfect fit. He approached the challenge with the same meticulous attention to detail, ensuring that actors could move their mouths, blink their eyes, and express emotion through latex. Beyond technical genius, Chambers was known for his warm, supportive demeanor. He understood that his craft could elevate performances and transport audiences to another world. It's no exaggeration to say that without his groundbreaking approach, Planet of the Apes might have never become the cultural juggernaut it is today. 8. The Oscar and the Chimp. In a TUX in 1969, John Chambers received an unexpected honor, an Academy Award for his pioneering makeup work, despite the fact that there was no official category for makeup at the time. The film industry simply couldn't ignore his achievements, especially with the immense box office success of Planet of the Apes. To celebrate the occasion, and add a bit of cheeky fun, Chambers' honorary Oscar was handed to him by none other than a chimpanzee wearing a tuxedo. This theatrical flourish symbolized the way the film had blurred the lines between human and ape in the public's imagination. It was a defining moment that showcased Hollywood's willingness to adapt and recognize new forms of artistry. Chambers' accolade paved the way for the future of makeup and special effects awards. His dedication had proved that the craft wasn't merely a supplementary department, it was central to a film's impact. Audiences were no longer just looking at rubber masks, they were witnessing believable new worlds come alive on the silver screen. Chambers would later continue to innovate, influencing everything from space-age designs to advanced prosthetics in other science fiction classics. But it was that surreal Oscar moment, Chimp in a tux and all, that forever cemented his place in cinematic history. 9. The strange lunchtime phenomenon. One of the oddest yet most amusing anecdotes from the Planet of the Apes set occurred daily when the cameras stopped rolling and cast members broke for lunch. Without any conscious direction from the production team, actors naturally gravitated toward groups that mirrored their on-screen species. Gorilla actors dined together, chimpanzee actors clustered in another corner, orangutans held court at their own table, and the humans settled somewhere else. Even Charlton Heston remarked that he found it bewildering. Why were they dividing themselves by costume? Some attributed it to the power of method acting, suggesting that people felt psychologically aligned with the species they portrayed for hours each day. Others saw it as a subconscious reaction to the intricate makeup. Once you've spent all morning conversing with fellow gorillas, you might feel more at ease sitting with them. However, most of the cast brushed it off as a simple quirk. Wearing full ape prosthetics might just nudge you to stick with those who look like you. This unplanned lunchtime segregation turned into a daily spectacle, intriguing visitors to the set and reminding everyone how powerful appearances can be, even behind the scenes of a Hollywood production. It was a social experiment that no one intended, yet everybody participated in without a second thought. 10. Inspiration for the iconic Statue of Liberty twist. When Arthur P. Jacobs and his creative team searched for a final scene that would leave audiences reeling, they found their eureka moment in the most mundane of places, a deli. Legend has it that Jacobs was brainstorming possible endings while grabbing a quick bite, pondering how to best convey humanity's downfall. Then he noticed a painting of the Statue of Liberty on the wall. Suddenly, the concept clicked. What if the grand symbol of American freedom was reduced to rubble, revealing that Taylor had been on Earth all along? This simple spark of inspiration turned into the film's most haunting visual, Lady Liberty's broken remnants protruding from a desolate shoreline. The twist wasn't just about shock value. It was a chilling commentary on how war, environmental neglect, or sheer human folly could lead to the destruction of civilization's most cherished icons. In the final cut, Charlton Heston's anguished reaction underscored the existential horror of realizing that humanity itself was the architect of this grim fate. Audiences left theaters stunned, grappling with an unforgettable what if. The final shot became a cultural touchstone, referenced in countless films, TV shows, and discussions about apocalyptic scenarios and the fragility of human achievement. 11. Matte paintings and miniature wonders. With only a modest budget at their disposal, the filmmakers needed an efficient way to depict a sprawling post-apocalyptic shoreline. They turned to a combination of matte painting and miniatures, guided by the expertise of Emil Cosa Jr., an artist famed for creating the original 20th Century Fox logo. Cosa meticulously crafted an otherworldly backdrop, painting towering cliffs and storm-tossed skies that would seamlessly merge with live-action footage. Meanwhile, the team built scaled-down models of the Statue of Liberty's torch and crown, positioning them against real sand and ocean waves. When these elements were composited together, audiences were treated to a panorama that looked far more expensive than it actually was. The trick lay in perfect alignment, if the camera angles were off by even a fraction, the illusion could shatter. Yet, the film's crew pulled it off with remarkable finesse, delivering a moment so eerie and convincing that many viewers believed they'd filmed on a real, shattered monument. This blend of artistry and practical technique underscored the resourcefulness that characterized Planet of the Apes. It wasn't just about big budgets or flashy technology, it was about harnessing every creative tool available to make movie magic, and blow the minds of 1960s audiences along the way. 12. Alternative ideas for Lady Liberty. Surprisingly, the final image of Lady Liberty buried in sand was not the only concept tossed around. Early brainstorming sessions considered placing the Statue of Liberty deep in a jungle setting, suggesting that nature had reclaimed it entirely. Another proposal envisioned the statue shattered into countless pieces, scattered across a barren expanse to symbolize the total collapse of civilization. Each idea aimed to convey the same sense of dread and revelation, but the team weighed how best to strike the balance between realistic destruction and poetic imagery. Ultimately, they chose to partially submerge the statue in sand because it offered a stark, haunting silhouette. The recognizable torch and crown poking out of the beach made an immediate visual impact. It also allowed for a slow, dramatic camera reveal, culminating in Charlton Heston's iconic outburst. From a practical standpoint, the partially buried statue was easier to integrate with matte paintings and miniatures, minimizing production costs while maximizing emotional resonance. This decision further illustrated the filmmakers' ingenuity. They understood that sometimes, less is more. By offering just a glimpse of Liberty's iconic shape, they let viewers fill in the gaps with their own imagination and horror, solidifying this as one of cinema's most unforgettable endings. 13. The scrapped, hopeful ending. In one early version of the script, the film was poised to conclude on a more optimistic note. This alternate ending revealed that Nova, Taylor's mute companion, was pregnant with his child, a glimmer of possibility that mankind might not be entirely doomed in this ape-dominated world. The idea was to counterbalance the film's dark social commentary with a seed of renewal. However, studio executives feared that this reveal might confuse audiences or muddy the film's overarching cautionary message. There was also the delicate question of how viewers would interpret a human-ape romance, given the film's blurred lines between species. Even though Nova was a human character, the overarching presence of an ape society prompted concerns about the storyline's implications. Ultimately, the producers decided that a final image of a shattered Statue of Liberty was more powerful and thematically cohesive. That single shot hammered home the film's overarching premise: humanity's capacity for self-destruction had left Earth ripe for new rulers. While the scrapped pregnancy angle could have added a poignant twist, it might have detracted from the bleak impact the filmmakers sought. By trimming hope from the conclusion, they ensured that audiences left the theater haunted by the film's cautionary tale, underscored by the unforgettable final reveal. 14. The long road to Linda Harrison as Nova. Casting Nova was trickier than it first appeared, especially since the role required an actress who could communicate volumes without uttering a single word. Big names like Ursula Andress, Raquel Welch, and Angelique Petitjean were all on the table at various points, but scheduling conflicts, disinterest, or budgetary concerns took them out of contention. The team wanted someone with a striking presence who could stand beside Charlton Heston's imposing figure and still captivate viewers with silence. Enter Linda Harrison, then the girlfriend of 20th Century Fox executive Richard Zanuck. Some might assume nepotism, but Harrison brought her own unique qualities to the role. She had a magnetic screen presence and the physicality to portray a woman living in a primitive, ape-ruled society. Her body language had to convey fear, curiosity, and budding trust without the aid of dialogue. Harrison also displayed the stamina necessary for enduring hot, dusty filming locations in minimal costumes. The result was a character who left a memorable impression, adding a sense of vulnerability and hope to an otherwise harsh environment. While Nova might not have had lines to deliver, her role was pivotal in highlighting humanity's diminished state in a world turned upside down, helping audiences connect emotionally to the story in an unexpected way. 15. The spontaneous "see-no evil" moment in the famous courtroom scene where Taylor tries to defend himself against a jury of apes. There's a fleeting moment that has become legendary among fans. 3 ape judges suddenly cover their eyes, ears, and mouth respectively, mimicking the old adage, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Remarkably, this iconic sight gag wasn't in the script. It was an on-the-spot decision by director Franklin J. Schaffner, who felt the moment needed a wry injection of humor to break the tension. The gesture does more than just raise a chuckle, it perfectly encapsulates the oppressive mindset of the film's ape civilization, which refuses to acknowledge inconvenient truths about both their past and the nature of humanity. Many viewers saw this as a sly commentary on censorship or willful ignorance, especially in a 1960s context rife with social upheaval. The actors playing the judges improvised with such natural ease that test audiences assumed it was meticulously planned. It quickly became one of the movie's signature images, reminding everyone that sometimes the most memorable cinematic magic is born from an inspired last-minute choice. Today, that quick comedic beat remains a highlight, bridging serious themes with a dash of satirical whimsy. 16. Beyond the Beach, a helicopter adventure. When you see Charlton Heston riding along a deserted beach in the film's climactic moments, it's hard to imagine the lengths the production team went to just to capture those shots. The location was so remote and difficult to access that helicopters were used to shuttle cast, crew, and heavy equipment. The challenge wasn't merely logistical, it was also physical and emotional. Heston himself was battling a nasty bout of the flu during the shoot. His sore throat and general fatigue might have been cause to delay production, but director Franklin J. Schaffner saw an unexpected advantage in Heston's ragged state. Taylor, after all, is a man on the edge, desperate and drained from his ordeals. Heston's genuine exhaustion lent a palpable authenticity to his performance, making his final scenes resonate even more. The harsh coastal winds, combined with Heston's illness, created conditions that were grueling for everyone on set. Yet, the footage was undeniably compelling. In the end, the beach location became a character in its own right, a symbol of Earth's desolation and an echo chamber for Heston's iconic outburst. Even decades later, behind-the-scenes stories of helicopters and flu-stricken actors highlight the film team's unwavering dedication to creating a moment that would stand the test of time. 17. A stunning box office success. When Planet of the Apes finally hit theaters in early 1968, few could have predicted the tidal wave of success that followed. Despite the initial skepticism from studio executives and critics alike, the film raked in an impressive $26 million in domestic gross, a staggering figure compared to its roughly $5.8 million budget. It quickly became the biggest money-maker for 20th Century Fox that year, outpacing several more traditionally safe titles. Audiences were captivated by the film's mix of sci-fi adventure and social allegory. Word of mouth spread like wildfire, with viewers buzzing about the mind-bending climax and the eerie makeup effects that brought the ape civilization to life. This commercial triumph wasn't a one-city wonder either, the film broke records in major urban centers worldwide. The success signaled a turning point for Hollywood, proving that a high-concept science fiction movie, especially one featuring talking apes, could generate massive mainstream appeal. It also paved the way for a franchise that expanded into multiple sequels, TV series, and eventually modern reboots. Looking back, the box office numbers were more than just a testament to audience curiosity, they heralded a new era of cinematic possibilities and helped solidify science fiction as a profitable and influential genre. 18. A pioneer in movie merchandising. Long before Hollywood blockbusters were accompanied by sprawling lines of toys, collectibles, and tie-in media, Planet of the Apes set a blueprint for modern movie merchandising. The film's success spurred the release of action figures, play sets, lunchboxes, comic books, and even Halloween masks bearing the likeness of Dr. Zaius, Cornelius, and Zira. For kids growing up in the late 1960s and early 1970s, the ape-themed products were everywhere, fueling playground debates over which character was the coolest and who had the best costume. This merchandising explosion caught many industry veterans by surprise. Few had expected that audiences would form such an emotional attachment to a world ruled by talking primates. But the marketing teams quickly realized that the film's rich lore, iconic visuals, and broad appeal translated into a goldmine of collectibles. Retailers scrambled to keep shelves stocked, while fans enjoyed extending the cinematic experience into their daily lives. The Planet of the Apes franchise effectively opened Hollywood's eyes to the enormous revenue potential lying outside the box office. It also foreshadowed the merchandising juggernauts that would come with future science fiction and fantasy franchises like Star Wars and Star Trek. In many respects, The Apes proved that a movie could be more than a 2-hour experience. It could be a cultural phenomenon with a life of its own. 19. Filming in Arizona and at Fox Ranch. One of the film's great strengths is its convincing sense of a world turned upside down. That atmosphere owes much to the sweeping desert landscapes of Arizona and beyond. Key sequences were shot at Lake Powell, Glen Canyon, the Grand Canyon, and along the Colorado River, capturing the stark, otherworldly feel the filmmakers craved. These locations gave viewers a sense of isolation, a planet that seemed almost uninhabitable, until a tribe of talking apes appeared on horseback. Meanwhile, the production also made use of Fox Ranch, later Malibu Creek State Park, a property owned by 20th Century Fox. This versatile location offered rugged terrain that could stand in for a post-apocalyptic wilderness, complete with rocky outcroppings and dusty trails. Set designers transformed parts of the ranch into the ape village, crafting primitive huts and curious architecture that looked both foreign and oddly plausible. Historically, Fox Ranch had been used for various westerns and musicals, but it had never housed a civilization of intelligent primates before. Seeing the final footage, audiences had no trouble buying into the idea that this place was home to a new dominant species. The combination of natural wonders and carefully designed sets helped cement the film's reputation for transporting viewers to a universe both familiar and hauntingly strange. 20. Lasting impact and cultural footprint. By the time the credits rolled on Planet of the Apes, audiences had experienced a jolt that went far beyond standard entertainment. The movie's eerie conclusion, with Lady Liberty in ruins, became a pop-cultural milestone that still resonates today, symbolizing humanity's capacity for self-destruction and the lingering question of what we leave behind. The film's overwhelming success spawned 4 direct sequels in rapid succession, a live-action TV series, an animated show, comic book adaptations, and eventually modern reboots that continue to fill theaters. But the impact stretches beyond mere sequels. The movie permanently shifted how Hollywood approached science fiction, proving that thoughtful, message-driven stories could be both critically and commercially viable. It also paved the way for more ambitious makeup and effects work, inspiring generations of artists to push the boundaries of prosthetics and animatronics. In cultural discourse, Planet of the Apes remains a touchstone whenever we discuss dystopian futures, social hierarchies, or the ethical treatment of animals. Its legacy lives on in academic papers, political cartoons, and pop culture references, from sitcom jokes to philosophical debates. Indeed, it's more than just a sci-fi classic, it's a mirror held up to our own society, challenging us to confront the primal instincts that may linger beneath our civilized veneer. And there you have it, the incredible odyssey behind one of sci-fi's most unforgettable sagas. If you found this exploration enlightening, please give this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing so you won't miss our next deep dive. Together, let's keep the magic of cinema alive.